Welcome back to the Tula Community Podcast. I am recording this on Valentine's Day, which I think has some significance for most people, no matter kind of what. I think that it holds some sort of energy or weight for people, whether they kind of follow along this holiday or whatever the traditions come from and what have you. And it seems to play a role, of course, in people's lives if they are in relationship with somebody, romantically, platonically, whatever it is. And I guess it kind of plays this fun part in your life if you are single on Valentine's Day, which it doesn't bother me. I think I have a few moments where I'm like, oh man, like it would be nice, But I was thinking the other day, I went to the library, and as I was leaving, I walked very slowly to my car and just reflecting on life a little bit, and not so much on this day that we're on now, just reflecting on life. And I started to think about all of the things that I love, all of the things that I appreciate and look forward to, or the little things in life that I guess just the little things that make up your life. And so I started to make a list of the things that I love, and then I thought I would love to record an episode centered around or titled the things that I love. and I kind of hope that this will be like a mini episode. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, because sometimes I get talking and then it goes for a long time. But I don't have a very big list. I think some things might start to unfold and unravel as this time here goes along, of course. But my list wasn't overly long. But I just had these things that I wanted to share or talk about, or that I was reflecting on, and all those things. And I thought, well, what better day to talk about the things that I love than on this day that is meant to be centered around love, And so I really wasn't going to do this today. I wouldn't have had the space or the time to do this today, because I was meant to go to Kirtan at Casa Copal, and I had actually, reserved the afternoon of this day so that I would be able to go to it quite a while ago now. Like I knew that the next one was going to be on February 14th. So I set aside the day so that I would be able to go, because if you haven't been to the Kirtan at Casa Copal, it's so good. It's just it encompasses a lot of emotion, I think, and there's like not only maybe like a goodness that comes out of being there and the feeling that you get when you're there and then when you leave and for the rest of your afternoon or evening, but it can take form in a lot of emotional expression. I find myself crying quite frequently, or I just find myself on the opposite end, I guess, right, just overjoyed and feeling really happy to be there. But I always work with mood and energy and how I actually feel, and I think I also just get excited and inspired to do things. Just I'll wake up in the morning and I'll start to do the things I have to kind of do, but then as the day unravels, I start to feel that I want to paint. Like I'm like, I kind of want to paint, and so then I'm like, well, I got ready to go to Kirtan. And I was about to leave the house, and I put the directions into my Google Maps just to see like what it was going to take to get there, kind of thing. And it told me it was going to take 52 minutes, and it looked like a lot of traffic, right? You know how it shows up and it's red and all these things. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I just don't think I want to do that. I think that what I want to do is I want to paint my house and continue painting my house. I think that I want to work with my camera and working with triple exposures this evening and creating some kind of self-portraits and seeing what I can cook up with the camera. I think I maybe potentially want to like order food, and I think that I want to go to Whole Foods and I want to buy myself flowers, and so that I have something also to work with for the photos, because I have this idea in my head. of what I want to do with the photos. But I think I want to buy myself flowers so that I have them for creative expression, but also just for general house happiness, you know. I think I want to buy myself a juice, which I have here. I'm like, so happy about this. I was like, I really need a juice. And I think I want to buy myself a probiotic shot. and I think that I want to just be home and do whatever I feel I want to do, and completely kind of abandon the plan to go to Kirtan, even if it was like 4 weeks in the works to go to that tonight. So, and I don't really know if like, I don't know if how I feel about what happens to me in the day when I switch my plans and my intention and I just move with the mood or the energy, whatever. I can't quite, you know, to me, I can't quite figure out if does it come from the place that I'm like very water sign heavy, and of course just go with my moods and how they kind of fluctuate and ebb and flow as a water sign person, or is it more like my ADHD, because I do get kind of you know, I won't maybe like clean the house every day, but when I do decide that I want to clean the house, it's like an all or nothing thing. Like I'll just start with maybe just sweeping, and that might be my only idea, but then once I get sweeping, then I'm cleaning now for the next 4 hours, even if that wasn't my original plan or intention, you know. And so I can't quite figure out like where it comes from, but I think it comes from these two places, and kind of builds into one for me. And I also just think that it maybe just comes from just being, you know, being human, and being, you know, we have all these different ways that we show up in the world and express, and I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to be. I think we just are how we are and who we are. And I think that sometimes we can be looked at if somebody's like, you know, has ADHD or isn't neurotypical, as someone who, you know, does things differently, or is strange potentially, or wrong for doing what they're doing, or that it's, you know, it's different, it's unheard of, it's whatever. But I don't really know who made those constructs, and I don't feel as though I care to subscribe to them. I just think that I'll just do whatever I feel I want to do, and I don't see myself ever not living that way. Within reason, of course. There's some times where you have to do things you don't really want to do, but days like today where you know, while the whole morning and kind of afternoon, I was like, I just don't think that's what I want to go do today. And I always like to honor that for myself. I just feel like it's crucial to be honest with how you feel and your energy, and the message that's coming through. Like the message is just not like it's not like a massive yes, so why would I go and do it, you know? And the yes and the pull is to be here, stay home, do these things, create, take the photos, experiment a little bit with the camera. And this camera that I have now, it has these, it just has different settings than my last camera, so I'm able to I'm able to kind of create it in a new way, but I kind of want to test this out and experiment before the busy season really starts. And I'm working with it in this paid photography session, and you know, knowing that I want to create these multiple exposure photos, but I don't quite know what I'm doing or how to make them, you know, quote unquote good, or have the multiple exposure be a successful photo, if that makes sense, you know. So anyway, so when I got home, I got these roses. So if you're listening to this episode, I did record a video of it, so if you want to watch it on YouTube, you can. So I have roses here though, beside me, and when I just started to trim the stems and, you know, put them into water when I got home. And when I got them and I had them in the kitchen, and I was, you know, taking off the leaves, and I was just thinking, I was like, you know, I really appreciate the mindfulness aspect to this. It's almost like when you're preparing food and you kind of need to like peel back like some parts of this vegetable or whatever it is that you're not going to eat. You can't eat that, so you need to kind of peel it back, and there is this tuned in energy that you're able to have. And there's like a beauty to tending to your flowers, but also, yeah, this slow down where you're just with them, and you allow yourself to be with them. And oftentimes in my life, I do rush a lot of things. There's like a lot of things where I just am like, oh yeah, just get it done, or just kind of go fast, or whatever it is, And then there's things in my life where I just also then operate on the other end, where I just want to go really, really slowly and mindfully, And so, that would have been on my list as I look through my phone. Like that would have been on my list of things that I love, is just being with the flowers, being with nature, bringing flowers into your home. Has always been something I've deeply appreciated and like to have as much as possible. I don't seem to do it a lot in the winter, but I don't know if that's just because it just doesn't have that, you don't really think about flowers a lot in the winter. But now I've brought some in this winter, and I don't think that I want to go year round without them, like I think they're not just like something I want to isolate to just spring and summer or whatever, and I'm like, oh no, I think that I need these all the time in my house, and so that's something that I love. I just love like taking off the leaves, knowing that you have to, like peel them back, trim the stems, be mindful of where you're trimming them for the length so that it's all cohesive and similar in length, and then to just have this beautiful thing in your home that you have gifted yourself with to be able to enjoy. And it could be something that extends into far into the future, because I end up drying them a lot of the times. You can't see my altar, but on my altar I have multiple dried flowers that I've just dried myself. And then around my house, I just have dried flowers that I've also, they're just like from ones that I've been gifted or had before. And I just really appreciate having those things. And so when this thought came to me about things I love, I had gone to the library, and I went to the Capilano one, because I usually go to the one closer to my house, but I thought, let me try this one out and just see, what they have there and kind of how that library looks and what have you. So I went, and I ended up doing some putzing around. I think I got 4 books, which adds to my list of 5 other ones that I've got going at the same time, and I'm like drowning in literature right now. But I always seem to gravitate to these ones that are a little bit more spiritually focused, or like self-help, or whatever they are. And I just find them to be really beautiful and inspirational and motivational to me. I just have this strong pull towards nonfiction, but also this strong pull towards this ancient wisdom, knowledge, and knowings that we could, that we could have for ourselves. So I ended up getting, these spiritual books, and I thought about how, I guess, second thing I love now, hey, right? Like I love being with books. Like I love going to a bookstore. I like going to a library. I like going to a used bookstore is, I think, the top. That is the top, because you don't quite know what you're going to get, and you don't need to necessarily always be buying new books, because it seems to be kind of wasteful unless you're looking for specifics, obviously, right? But most of the time you can find them at used bookstores or at the library. But I love a used bookstore, and there's like something that is revived in me every time I'm with books, or I go to get a book, or I'm just, in these shelves and shelves and shelves of books, and receiving whatever I'm interested in at the time. If it's like more food related, if it's about the garden, if it's about plants, if it's spiritually focused, if it's about business, if it's about whatever, I just love that. I've always really loved that, and I think that a lot of us feel that way, and it's almost hard to put words or feelings towards it. But there's just like a deep appreciation and inspiration that comes from being with these, not only the books, but the authors, and who has put their energy and wisdom and time and knowledge and has taken parts of their lives and either written it down or taken time out of their life to apply to some sort of knowledge that now they're sharing with you. And I think that if you're going to write a book, you probably have to be really interested in what you're writing about. And so it's one of the ways where you're reading this book, and it's just by this person who is so moved by this topic as well. So that's the second thing I love. And when I left the library, there was a man outside, and he was on the phone. And I heard him swear, and I thought, okay, like, what is going on? And he's standing outside of the library, and I just think that it's a weird place to be on the phone swearing, because, I mean, it's a library. Like, there's kids there, And so I just thought, well, that's really strange. I thought, I wonder if I should be like, hey, man, like, I don't know if you should be standing outside the library being angry, right at the steps of the library entrance, and just having this kind of heightened conversation with, at the time I didn't know who he was talking to, but then with time he was talking to his mother, which was okay, and so I heard him, and he started to like continue kind of getting a little bit heightened, and he was saying some things that were not, they were a little bit racially charged. It was very interesting. And like being, disrespectful to his mom. And I didn't love what was going on. I didn't love what he was talking about. I did not love how he was speaking to his mom. I didn't, whatever. I didn't like that, he was just like spewing out profanities on the library doorstep. But then I realized that, I walked out of there at a comfortable pace. And as soon as I started to hear him, sharing whatever he was sharing, I slowed down my walk, because I was like, man, I'm curious to know, like, what is he talking about, and why is he so upset with his mom, and what is this about? And then I realized that I love eavesdropping. I just love witnessing things from a neutral place of observation. I love to observe, but I also love to have my judgments. I love to have my my own idea of what psychology is and how it shows up, and my perceptions of people just based on how they are and their patterns, and my own pattern recognition of kind of what someone is like, or how they're showing up in the world, and what you might make out of that from your judgments. And I was like, man, I love eavesdropping. And I love eavesdropping in public especially. I don't really seem to do it when there's people I know around. I don't really listen because I know them, and I feel like it's like a breach of their. Usually I get all up in my own head, and then they'll kind of be like, Whitney, what do you think? And I'm like, I have no idea, I wasn't listening, I'm so sorry. But just in public, and I love to listen to any conversation, like, of course the ones that are a little bit more dramatic are more enjoyable to listen to, of course, like you when there's like a fight going on, it's like getting a little zesty, like, of course you're like gonna perk up and be like, what's going on over there, But I love any conversation. I love when people are sharing joy or happiness or story, or, when you see two women talking about their husbands or something that happened, and they're both just like, oh my gosh, like that is crazy. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, yeah, like that is crazy. And so that was my other thing. I thought, wow, I just love to witness. I love to observe neutrally. Most of the time, I try my best not to come from a place of judgment or negativity. And on average, I usually just am in this place of just wide-eyed, open mind observation. But I do like to judge. Like, of course I like to judge. I like to just, have my own thoughts on what something might be based on just, human psychology or what I've experienced before. I'm like, well, I know someone that operates like that. So you just, you apply it. It's like you're not really meant to, right? In like yogic philosophy, you're like supposed to rid yourself of your samskaras or whatever, but like whatever, Sometimes you just, you see someone, you're like, wow, that person's so similar in the way that they operate to somebody else I know. It's showing up so strongly, and then you just kind of go from there on your perceptions of what this individual might be like outside of this one moment that you're sharing, eavesdropping and judging them. And so I realized that I loved eavesdropping. And then because I slowed down my pace to be able to listen to this guy on the phone for a longer amount of time, I just walked slow all the way back to my car. I parked a little bit away, a ways away from the library. And so I just walked at a, snail's pace, and I just, had these new books, and I just looked around at what was there, and the plants and the houses of this area that I don't really spend any time in. I'd never really been there before. And, just seeing what's in their yard or how they've done it or whatever it is. And I realized that I love, I guess this is my fourth thing I love, maybe, that I love to walk slowly and be in a place of contemplation. And that I love not being in a rush. And there's many times in our lives, of course, where, you've been in a rush. We've all been there where we're like hustling around. And I do live that way sometimes, especially in the busy season, like summer. I feel like it's just, like I have a lot of slow down moments, don't get me wrong, but the work is there's so much work that there is a fast-pacedness to it. And, through that fast-paced energy, you know how they say, like, you can't see what's ahead of you when you're going too fast? Like, you have to slow down to see what's in front of you and see what's coming up along the path or the road or whatever it is. And I realized that most of my days, because they're structured around what I feel I want to do for the most part, and in a place of alignment with who I am and what I'm interested in or whatever it is, that I can move slowly and I'm not in a rush. And I see everybody in a rush. And I think that's my default. I think it's my default. My default is to like hustle around and move really quickly and make a lot of mistakes and, throw things in the car and not really care about how it's going to affect the car and just, whatever. And then in hindsight, you see that it kind of dented your seat a little bit, and then you're like, damn, I should have slowed down a little bit and done it the right way. And so I have all these periods of quickness and fastness, but when I go for a walk, most of the time, I just go really slowly. When I go out to see a friend, that's kind of the only plan I make for that day. It's just to see them. Whether they're able to spend 10 hours with me or not, I usually only make that the thing because I just don't want to be in a rush. I like being able to walk very slowly and to not have to be anywhere at any certain time. It's been so peaceful to go to the grocery store and just not be in a hurry to get anywhere. You just go there and walk the aisles and take your time and go slow, and you're not like hustling around and trying to get all the things and making sure that you get your list and whatever it is. So yeah, I just there's a beauty to actually slowing down and witnessing and absorbing what's around you, just by having this openness, but also this unhurried energy. It gives you the ability to actually see what's around you, and even in detail. You could witness it in detail. You can look at a plant in a whole new way and see that it has these like textural qualities that you've never really noticed before. And even for myself, the other day I was on a walk And my walks, like for the most part, I don't really approach walks from an exercise standpoint. I go for them very frequently. I try to go for a walk every day, and always in the forest kind of thing. And they used to be something that I approached from an exercise standpoint. So I would maybe walk a little bit faster and, know that I was like trying to get my steps in, but I don't view it that way. I just view now that I'm in communion with myself and the earth, and I'm getting air, and I'm going out, and of course, yes, I'm moving the body, but I'm not walking quickly. I don't even ever really wear like exercise clothes. Like I just go out into nature, and I see everybody moving quickly, which I think, they're there for exercise. So, more power to them. That's a beautiful thing. But I've been on these walks, there's a trail that I've walked in Langley, since I was I was in my young 20s, early 20s. And I was walking it the other day, and I noticed something that would have had to have been there for the last, 13 years at least, 14 years that I've been walking this trail. And I was, wow, I can't believe that I'm noticing this thing for the first time. And I have walked this probably, 100 plus times, this trail. And I can't believe that I've never seen this before. And then I've had those moments here and there, and then I speak to my friends, and they've had those moments here and there where they're just like, whoa, that's been there the whole time? I've never noticed that before. And you're just blown away, because once you see it, you just think, well, how have I never seen that before? And so I think I love walking really slowly. I love being unhurried, and in a place where, that's my energy, that's my mood, is that I was able to be with these wonderful books, and I was able to, connect with new knowledge that I haven't yet, received yet from reading them, but I know that it's there. And, I'm able to witness people, and then I'm able to, leave and just have this deeply felt appreciation for life and what life is. And, I just love being able to do the things that I feel I want to do, but I also just love life. I just feel very grateful for my life, and to be able to do the things that bring me joy, and to give to others, or to receive, or to still wake up every day and to still be like above ground is a huge blessing, of course, right? And so I think I just love the experience of being a being on this planet of ours. There's so much to witness. There's so much to know. There's so much to experience. There's so much you don't know. There's so much to see. And I love all of that. I just love that, you don't really know what you're going to get on any given day. And even if you lead your life with a lot of structure, you will still have many moments of unpredictability and not knowing what you're going to get. But there is still, you have that strong rigidity that you know on average what you're going to get most days, because there's so much rigidity. But for me, because I move with my feelings and my mood and just whatever I actually want to do, today totally had a rigid plan of, waking up and doing this thing and eating this food and working on this, and then going to Vancouver and attending Kirtan and knowing what I was going to wear, which I'm currently wearing, and and then come back home and maybe do some of these things. I probably wouldn't have been able to get all of it done because, I would have been home later and all those things. But, it would have had that plan. And now it's completely turned on its head that, it's not that thing at all. And I love that. I just love that, I love the openness of just not really knowing and winging it and going along for the ride. And so I think that's probably all of my list. That was all of my list. That's perfect. I didn't even have to really look at my phone to recall the list. But yeah, I thought that I would share. I just thought that I would share this moment I had, and this was only like with it, it was like a 30-minute, maybe a 45-minute, thing in and of itself. But that tiny little moment or part of my day, um, it felt very special and meaningful, and I was happy to be you know, able to receive it and feel it, and to continue to enjoy the beauty of being alive, and being in a place of choice, because that's very important. And it's really good that if you are in a place of choice, because most people I know are in a place of choice. We have a lot afforded to us. Most of the people that I'm in, in my connections and in my friendships, we all have a lot of things to be grateful for, and we can show up the way we want to and do the things we want to do most of the time. And sometimes that's not the case, but sometimes that's kind of just created from people's blocks that they have, and it's not really the full truth. It's just that we get stuck in these things where we're not able to witness the goodness around us. And so, that's a small list of the things that I love, and I just I love it all. I love the low lights in my house. I love not turning on the big light. I like I love to see the sun. I love to see the sun, and I love to be in a place where I can create what I want to create, and eat what I want to eat, and nourish myself with with whatever way I feel I want to nourish myself, mind, body, and soul, and that I have access to be able to do those things, and that when my body calls for something, I'm able to, maybe not instantly or always, but I'm able to get those things. And whenever the message comes in, I've never really been without too much. There's been times, of course, but in my later years, it's very rare that I've had to go without some things. I just I've got access to it, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's it feels really, really important to practice that appreciation every day. So, yeah, I don't know if this is a mini episode. It's shorter than most of my solo episodes by about 10 minutes. So maybe. Oh, I would love if it was like a 20-minute. Like, I think that would be just so cool, but there's just no way. I don't think mini episodes are for me, but maybe one day I can kind of, chip away at it and get it down to the 20-minute mark. We'll see what happens, but if that's not the way that it has to go, then that's just not the way. I'm probably not like a short form content person, I don't think. I think long-winded explanations to everything are probably the answer here. But anyway, thank you so much for watching if you're watching, and listening if you're listening. And, I won't release this, today because it's Valentine's Day, but I hope that your day of love was honored for just what love is, whether or not you're in this connection with someone that's a romantic connection or not. I hope that you're able to think about the things that you love, whether that's, your partner, your friends, your children, the things that make up your life that are wonderful and beautiful that you love. It might be your parents, your siblings, it might be food, it might be like a specific type of meal that you really like, the plants that you have in your home that you're tending to, or whatever it is. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I guess we'll we'll do this again soon.